Welcome everyone to today's discussions on supply chain management, its future trends, and sustainability practices, as well as some other topics that we plan to cover today. I'm honored to introduce our guest and partner, Wolfgang Lehmacher, a global thought leader in the world of supply chain and former head of supply chain and transport industries for the World Economic Forum. Thank you for joining us, Wolfgang. It's a pleasure to have you today here.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yeah, let's start by getting to know you better, Wolfgang. Please tell us about yourself, your journey in the supply chain industry, as well as some key roles you've held throughout your career.
Yeah, I can start in my childhood. I was always fascinated by the movements of good and the world and how everything is moving around. I had 10 years working for companies like Kuehne Nagel to learn the nuts and bolts of the operations. And before I moved to TNT, where my management career started, I have been involved in setting up the ground operations of GD Express worldwide in the early 90s in Germany. And my last role at TNT was head of Eastern Europe and Eastern Mediterranean, where I was driving an Eastern European expansion plan, a massive remake of TNT's operations to strengthen the footprint significantly. And after TNT, I joined French Post, where I was responsible for the international development and uh, setting up parcel operations in Europe. In fact, it was the acquisition of DPD, supplemented with other acquisitions in Poland and Russia, in the UK, etc. And after my executive life, I moved to consultancy and worked for CBA, a boutique consultancy firm that focus on narrow board missions. And I was responsible for driving the business in China and India, and have been helping companies to understand markets and enter markets either in Europe or in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
After CBA, I joined the World Economic Forum as the head of supply chain and transport industries, where I worked with leaders either in size, knowledge, or technology to understand the fourth industrial revolution and what the technologies that this revolution brought us can do for the supply chain, logistics, and transport industry. And since I have left in 2018, I have been working with startups and large corporations on digitalization projects, and I've worked with leading academics on decarbonization and digitalization topics, and have taken care of investments, but I was also involved in EU-funded projects, and I'm still are in the space of decarbonization and digitalization.
I see, I see. Thank you for sharing your journey, Wolfgang. So it's like really fascinating to see how your experience has shaped like your approach to supply chain leadership and innovation. And as a supply chains are evolving really rapidly, what are the emerging trends in supply chain management that the companies should prepare for in 2025 and beyond?
Yeah, it's obvious. There is the AI revolution rolling over us. So
That's true.
everybody tries to get their heads around it. I believe it's important because things are moving extremely fast. And
Yes.
it's, I think, the next stage of the digital revolution. It is probably too early to say everybody must do something, but everybody should look at it. Um, my favorite was always IoT. So understanding what is going on in the real world and replicating it in the digital world. And I think this is still a very important trend, as I believe that the visibility conundrum has not been cracked. Then there is the whole platform play. Platforms have become very important, and I think platforms are today capable to run almost autonomously. I'm working with a digital first trucking company that handled thousands of containers with a handful of people. That's unthinkable in the previous world. There is, of course, a lot going on in warehouse operations. It's very hard to find people. It's a very crucial element in the supply chain and warehouse automation. Inventory visibility is a very active field where we have seen a lot of activities over the years, but we have still not reached the end there. So these are, for me, the big fields where today companies working on understanding AI, driving forward the IoT, the digital twinning of their operations, and then actors that they can leverage that work on aggregation models, but also on visibility at large. And then there is the whole tech, the whole green tech around decarbonization. This is very much about technology, which I see. And beyond all this tech, I think that it becomes increasingly clear that the human element cannot be ignored, that we have to build ecosystems, that we have to bring all stakeholders to the discussion, involve them, and drive the development from a human angle.
Yeah, thank you very much, Wolfgang. Actually, I totally agree with all the trends that you highlighted, and I completely agree with you also with the point that they are still growing and the companies are still understanding how exactly they can incorporate the AI, IoT, also the digital twins. So this is just like the directions that the company is stepping in, but this is for sure will be the trend for the next many years for the supply chain management. That's true. So then with the increasing global interconnectedness, risks in supply chain are becoming like more complex. And what are the strategies do you recommend for managing the supply chain risks in the highly interconnected world right now?
I believe that the angle to take to understand what to do is around answering a few questions. And the first question is how to be best informed. Because this is all, risk is all about information. It's about data. It's about being upfront informed, know what it's truly about. Having a process where you drill into, double down the identified area. And that, of course, brings us again to the visibility discussion. This time, really visibility at large. What is going on in the world and what could be relevant to us, to our operations? That means dealing with massive amount of data, big data.
Yes.
That means having worked a lot on data feeds to get this data. And again, then we need AI tools. Luckily, they are available to make sense and separate the noise from the real relevant part of what we have identified. So that's the first thing. Information is key, how to get all information. The second, for me, is about speed. And this means the strategy should include an element of organizational agility, managerial agility. So we have the information. So how do we act quickly, swiftly on this information, on the insights, on the knowledge we have built? And the third point is about collaboration. Supply chain, logistics, transport is team sport.
Yeah.
Right? It is about many actors in a chain. So it's not only us that need to be informed, be fast. It's also our partners that have to live up to the same, let's say, standards we set for ourselves. And when I round this up and I say we are talking about information, this is information about the ecosystem, everything what happens around our operations. This is information about our operations, which includes the operations of partners. And this is about our agility in decision making, in also responding, rerouting,
Yeah, that's
taking
true.
action. Yeah. And about, let's say, how can we do this together with everyone?
Yeah. So that's totally true, Wolfgang. So I was actually thinking the same in this direction, because all the key points, the keystones that you just highlighted about the information, about the agility, and about the partnership and cooperation, this is like the key points that are important throughout the supply chain. And once you have this like in the balance, in the connection, so this is something that helps to mitigate the risks and see how to quickly let's say adapt in order to avoid this kind of disruptions in the supply chain. So that is why like really important points that you highlight, and thank you. And finally, moving forward, learning from the real world experiences can be highly insightful. And Wolfgang, can you share particular challenging project you work on in the supply chain domain and how you overcame it?
I believe there are two types of projects. The one type of project is narrow, it's within the organization, maybe even within an area like finance, like marketing, like
Yeah.
warehouse, right? And these are the easier ones. We have much less stakeholders involved, right? And
Mhm.
we are in full control, and we can execute the way we want. It gets already more difficult when we think about a transport or freight management system, where you have a lot of partners, business partners involved, where suddenly you are dependent on information from sales, right? That's already
That's
a bigger when you need to connect to finance and respect all the world of processes around you. So that's still for me the easiest thing, because it's mainly driven by one corporation. The real tough ones are those that require large scale collaboration across multiple companies.
yeah.
And I have currently one which is a very tough one, which is the VWT, the initiative to crack the nut of primary data sharing across peers, but also vertically across supply chain. There we have the whole world of complexities. We have competitors that have to work together. We have to involve technology companies that are, of course, proud of their own solution and need to openly say, okay, we could benefit from this and can benefit from that. We have the
Mhm.
big that have to work with the small. We
Yeah.
have the whole landscape of systems that exist within the company and around the company and across the industry. This is really tough, but I think it's worth the battle because it is important to align for getting to the point where everybody wants to be, which is a digitized global supply chain industry, where we
Yeah.
don't need to be scared of changes in one part, whether driven by natural disasters or whether driven by political decisions, because we have full visibility. Full can be defined, and who has that visibility can be defined. And this is all part of the work. Who shares data under which conditions? Right? I'm saying this because it is very fascinating. This project has only one objective: share accurate or make available accurate primary data.
Data.
It
Yeah.
cannot be defined narrower, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if there is no primary data, it will not be shared. There is no AI that bridges. That's not the project. Others can do this and will do this. And we have been working on this now for 2.5 years. And we made major progress. And I picked this one to talk about it because we need support from the industry. The more actors are there, the better it is. And it shows the true complexity of digitalization. That this is not, by far, not about technology. This
Mm-hmm.
is about people. This is about self-interest. This is about building win, 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 wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
that means it's yes, there is a creative work, finding new mechanism, and we need the technical leaders to help us. But the critical element will be, do we get the people engaged all along the way, that they contribute, that they are willing constantly to find the middle ground between their interest, which we totally must respect, and the interest of the community and the industry.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, this is like the interesting project that you pick up, Wolfgang. And I see that this is like really incredible work. And this is like some kind of industry changing work that you are doing, like trying to a little bit adjust the system and all the players throughout the industry to make them share the data, to share this kind of primary data. So that is why everybody in the industry can win, can get this information to mitigate the risk, to understand how to, what better decisions to make. So this is really huge what you're doing with your team, and thank you very much for sharing this. And I truly believe like getting people more involved in this will help the industry in throughout, in all the directions. Wolfgang, I want to thank you very much for sharing your valuable insights and experiences with us today. I hope that today's discussion, to everyone who will be watching, has inspired new ideas and approaches for tackling their supply challenges. And once again, thank you, Wolfgang, and looking forward to our next conversation soon. Yeah.